Good afternoon, and welcome to the presentation of QuickBooks Point of Sale. My name is JoAnne Evans. I am with a Big Hairy Dog here in Sacramento, California, and I will be your presenter today. Just to give you a brief overview on QuickBooks Point of Sale, that Big Hairy Dog has been supporting the system now for over 20 years. It is a very comprehensive system. Over 900,000 merchants are using this system throughout the United States. It's very simple and easy to use, but it has a lot of depth when you come to inventory management and reports. And we'll be going through all of that today. It looks like we have one attendant today, so please feel free if you have any questions at all to chime in and ask any questions. You can also chat if you want to send a chat. So feel free, like I said, to join in basically at any time. So basically, a couple of things we'd like to start with. So just a little bit of background on Big Hairy Dog is, as I mentioned, we have been supporting retail customers now for over 27 years with point of sale systems. We started working with QuickBooks Point of Sale shortly after its release. We are located up here in Northern California. We have about 45, 50 employees, about 15, 16 techs who are all certified in QuickBooks Point of Sale. We actually have dedicated trainers as well. We have found that with this system that you can purchase it in a lot of different places, but there's very few companies that actually offer training. We find that is the best return on your investment to be fully trained on the system before initiating your first sale with it. It does a complete inventory management. It also has a customer management system built into the system, so there's no additional charge, no additional module for that. Your reports are part of the system. Again, no additional module is required. Also, you can see down here in the lower end, we have a full employee management component as well. Again, that's built into the system. If you're out there looking for point-of-sale systems right now, you're probably looking at some options that are what they call cloud-based. Just to give you a little bit of difference between a cloud-based system and a desktop system is, number one, cloud-based system is, of course, in the cloud. There are monthly fees associated with it. With the desktop application, you actually own this. You own the information, you own the software. It's yours from start to finish. Your information is all yours as well. With the cloud-based systems, there are some proprietary considerations as far as the ownership of the inventory information. So with the desktop application, there are no monthly fees associated with it. There are, as with any software, you're going to have updates and upgrades coming in with the point of sale, the desktop application, that when a new upgrade is available, that you have the choice and as to when and if you're going to do the upgrade. With the cloud-based systems, they upgrade basically as they see fit. And so the timing isn't always the greatest, and I know that we have had a couple customers that have had issues with the timing on some of their upgrades, which made some changes in the software. So it's a very secure way to conduct your point of sale business, and you'll find that as far as the reporting, it's very in-depth on the reporting. So we'll go into that a little bit more as we move down, move into the depth of the webinar. With QuickBooks Point of Sale, there's also a mobile option. It's a free app that you can download onto any mobile device. And with an Intuit Merchant Services account, it will sync with your point of sale, so you can take it on the road, do road shows or do trunk sales or trade shows, and be able to sync your sales and your inventory from your remote location. We'll take a look at that a little bit more in depth later on as well. So let's go ahead and get started into the system. And as you can see, it's very user-friendly from the onslaught. This is your opening window at the point of sale. A couple of things I would like to point out is over here on the right-hand side, we have our messages. You can see them in different formats. You could take a look at them in a grid format or the sticky note. Personally, I'm a big sticky note fan, so this is my favorite view. But you can add or remove any notes over here. I like to keep the tech support information here so that if your sales associates have any issues, that they'll be able to call right in and get taken care of. You also have your inventory reminders here. So we just click on this button and it'll take us over to our inventory reports. And you can see up here along the top, you've got your reorder items. It does have a reorder set point. So if you set a reorder point for one of your items and it gets to that reorder point, it's going to pop up on this list so that it's a reminder to go ahead and reorder that item because you are down to your reorder point in your inventory. Any price changes will show up on this report. Any duplicate items that you might have, any new items that you might have, and the system does have work orders and sales orders, and so any that are complete will be listed on here as well. So you have at your fingertips, you can have all of your inventory reports available to you right from the front page. The other thing I'd like to point out too is over here on the left-hand side, we've got our function buttons, and those are you can add or remove buttons there as well. So, depending on the flow that works best for you. One of the things when you do come on board with Big Hairy Dog, that you are assigned a dedicated trainer. So some of the specifics on setting up the system is something that you would work with them to determine what's going to be the best flow for you and what's going to make the most sense for your business. You can see that the section is broken down basically into the 4 sections here. So you have your point of sale, so your customers, your make a sale, your order list, and your receipts. In the center here, we have our purchasing. That would be your purchase orders, receiving vouchers. We have our departments and vendors in this area as well. Of course, down here is our employees. And over here on the right-hand side, we have our operations. QuickBooks Point of Sale does integrate with all of the QuickBooks financial packages. It does also integrate with the QuickBooks Online. There is a third-party app that is required to connect that to integrate the two, but it does integrate with all of the financial packages. It's probably QuickBooks accounting and financial are probably some of the most popular accounting packages in the world. So that works out very well, and it's a very flawless integration. As you can see over here on the left-hand side of the buttons, that you would actually just send your information to your QuickBooks Financial just with a click of a button. Your messages over here, we can minimize those so that at the sales window, this is what your sales associates are going to see. So basically, when our trainers start working with you, what they'll do is they'll help you build the building blocks for the foundation for your reporting. Where they generally start is in the department list, and we'll take a look at that right now. And in our departments, you can basically have as many departments as you like. We do normally recommend that you maintain about 20, just because of the dilution of the information when it comes to the end on your reporting. You can see I have a few more here, but primarily for demo purposes. So just let's take a look at one of our categories here, one of our departments, and let's take a look at casual wear men. And what information, when we input this information, we're going to input a department code, and that can be alpha or numeric. Our department, so we're going to start with casual wear as our department, and then men as our subdepartment. With our tax code, you can have multiple taxes. In my particular tax code, I actually have 3 taxes included in there. That would be my local tax, my county tax, and my state tax. Again, the trainer would help you determine, how to set up your taxes. And I know every area has different regulations for taxes, but every area has taxes. So that's depending on what your area requires, and that's something that your trainer would help you determine. If you look here under margin and markup, so you can, for this particular department, you can set the percentage of margin that you want to get as far as a return on the items that are in this margin, and the margin will determine what the markup is, and vice versa. So if you have a markup that you want, it'll populate the margin for you. So you just we'll just change this here to 57, for example, and see your markup will change. And the same thing here, we'll move that to 135, and that alters Go here, 135. Get rid of that. There we go. 135. And that populates your margin. But we don't want it that high. We want it this high. There we go. So we'll go ahead and save that. So as you can see, we have a variety of different types of departments depending on the, the products that you carry. So anything from basically soup to nuts. With the QuickBooks Point of Sale version 18, we have our little home window back here, so you can always click on that to take you back to the home window. If you're working in one window and you have to stop and go and make a sale, then you can just toggle back and forth between the window that you were just working in, and it'll take you back there. We'll go back to home. So the next building block and the foundation of our reporting will be our vendor list. And again, you can have pretty much as many vendors as you like. One of the nice things about the system, when you select a vendor, so we'll go in here, take a look at Brighton. We'll make some changes there. We'll edit that. So if we have a name of a vendor, we can go ahead and search, and it would give us some options to suggest options for us, depending on if it would be available on the list. If it is, then you would just select on that. I'll go ahead and pick Brighton Incorporated. So it's going to populate our contact information, basic contact information for that vendor. Then we can go ahead and add the title and the contact person, the email. The system does integrate with your Outlook account, so you can actually email purchase orders and receipts to your customers and your vendors. Over here we have our vendor settings, so you would input your account information, your 30 days in there, your terms, and if there's discount, if you pay in a certain amount of time, then you can input that. Over here you've got 7 customizable fields. Again, this would be something that you would work with your trainer to determine how you best want to track your vendors. All the information here in the white boxes is reportable. Down here you'll see the history. So everything you've done with that vendor is going to show up in their history within their file. So you can pull it up in reports, you can pull it up in your purchase orders, you can also pull it up in your vendor file. And vendor notes here, you can input any notes that's specific to this vendor. Best order on Mondays, or any other specific information that you'd like to have included in your vendor information. So we'll go ahead and save that. And as you see, if we show the details for our Brighton, again, we can go over here to the history, and we can just double click on it. Come on now, open up. We have a little, looks like we have a little lag in the internet here. There we go. So it's going to pull up that purchase order. It shows if we want to take a look at when we ordered it, when we received it, exactly what we ordered, and then we can close that. It goes back to our window here. There we go. All right. So that's our vendor information. So now if we go back to our home page, we've got now we have our department list, we have our vendor list. Let's go ahead and take a look at our item list. And this is where you can enter your items. There's a couple of different ways of entering items within the QuickBooks Point of Sale. You can enter them on the fly as a brand new item. You can scan them in. You can enter them in from if you have a list of items that you're already using, and you can export that into an Excel spreadsheet that you can import that information into QuickBooks into the Point of Sale system. Let's go ahead and let's add an item here. And you can see we can add a picture. So let's go ahead and add men's casual shorts. And if you have a picture available and you can keep a file, I don't think I have shorts in here, but you can, let's just change it a little bit. We're going to do a shirt here, and we'll do a men's casual shirt instead of shorts. So you can add a picture to the item that will show up in your different forms and receipts. So we're going to select this as an inventory item. Now in your inventory, you can also have non-inventory items, service items, assemblies, or groups within the system. So this particular item will pull up as an inventory item. We'll go ahead and select from our men's casual wear. We can put a description in here. For now, we're going to just put in a simple size. We're not going to add attributes at this point. And the system does offer a style matrix. And so before we leave this, we'll go ahead and create a style matrix. That would be for ordering an item. For example, our shirt, we're going to order it in different sizes and different colors. So it prevents us from having to go and import each single one of those items. So we can do it all at once in basically one fell swoop with the style matrix. We'll go here and select our vendor, and let's say Cascade. Let's say the order cost on this particular item is $13. Because it is, we could set a reorder point here, and it would show up on the inventory notices that we looked at the beginning of the webinar. The system does create a unique item number. You can also use an alternate lookup, or you can use a UPC number. Some people like to use the UPC number as the item number, and you can do that. Or if you want it as an alternate lookup, we normally recommend that you use the unique item number. That way it prevents someone from returning something to your store that they didn't purchase somewhere else. In your base unit of measure, there's different options. These options are ones that I've selected for demo purposes, but again, working with your trainer, you can determine what your base unit of measure is going to make more sense to you. If you order something by the case, but you sell it individually, then when you do place your order, it'll pop up that you order by the case. So if there's a 12 in the case, if you order one case, then you're going to get 12 items. Those 12 items are going to be populated in your inventory at the inventory price that we set up when you set up the item. In this case, we'll just select each for now. Again, you have an option of multiple custom fields here. If you are doing any consignment, you can indicate who the consignor is, the manufacturer, and then any other information that you want to track as far as your items are concerned. Again, you've got your comments field over here. Sync to mobile. We are going to be discussing this a little bit later. I did mention the mobile app, so we'll see how that works in a little bit down the road here. Your miscellaneous and shipping, if this is an item that you're going to be printing tags from, then you would indicate that in the system. If your employees are going to be earning commission, or if your customers are going to be earning rewards. As I mentioned earlier, the rewards program is built right into the system. And again, we'll take a look at that in a little bit. This system also integrates with UPS. So if you do have a UPS account, you can populate this information here, and the system will generate your shipping label for you based on your account information. So now we have our basic information on our item here. Let's go ahead and set our style grid. So it creates a template or a grid for us here. You can actually create templates and save them if you wanted to use a template that you'd used before, or you can create a new one. We can go ahead and we'll go back here. Create a new one. Let's see. We'll call it New Men's Shirts. How about that? All right. And we can size here. So we're going to carry it, just for demo purpose, we'll carry it in small, medium, and large. And we'll carry it in camo and khaki and gray. How about that? So we'll populate, we'll save that, close. Then we can go ahead and select our new menu and apply the selected template. So here we have our small, medium, large. We'll go ahead and populate this information because we don't have any on hand right now. This is a new item that we're going to be ordering. So go ahead and save this. And if we look over here, we see our men's casual shirt. We'll hide our details over here. So there's our men's casual shirt. And we have it in camo in small, medium, large, khaki in small, medium, large, and gray in small, medium, large. As you notice right here, our quantity on hand, we don't have any on hand at this point because we haven't ordered them yet. So there's a couple of ways, as I mentioned, that you can populate the quantities of your items. One of the ways we do suggest, and I know that a lot of vendors, you're placing the orders online these days, where you don't need to back it up with a purchase order. But what's nice about the purchase order process within the system is that you have a way to track. You can look within the system to see when you ordered and what you ordered, what your cancel date is, who placed the order. So that can all be tracked within the system. So it's very simple. Once you have your items listed in your inventory, we'll go ahead and just highlight these. And we go up over here to our buttons and we order our items. And now it creates a purchase order for us. So there are all the items we just now highlighted. We can order as many of each size as we want, either with the quantity and the toggle switches here, or you can actually do it manually. So let's go ahead and let's order 5 of each. Okay. Over here in the upper right-hand corner, you can see we have our order date, which is today's date. We have our ship date, so we may expect that to be shipped at the end of the month. And we could have a cancel date. So if this is an item that you're ordering for a special event or a special holiday, obviously you don't want to receive it after the holiday passes, so you can put your cancel date on there for to communicate that to your vendor. If you're tracking your associates, then you can just select your drop down your associates here. And again, setting up your associates would be something that your trainer would assist you with as well. We can go over here and select our vendor. So Cascade was our vendor when we enter this item. Any instructions that we want to give the vendor as to maybe delivery instructions, deliver on a certain day or a certain address or or a certain time, you can indicate that on the on your instructions. It'll populate your terms here, and it shows the payment due date based on the terms of the for the vendor. So we can save and print this. We could email this to our vendor. We could save only if we don't need to actually paper track it, but let's just kind of take a look at it and see just as a preview. And this is what your order would look like. Based on how you want your purchase orders to be laid out and to look, again, that would be something that you would work with your trainer on to get down to fine tune the specifics. But you can have your logo here, of course, your address, the vendor information, and then of course all the items that we just ordered and the totals. We'll go ahead and do that. So now if we go back to our home page, we notice over here in our purchasing area that we have an indicator that there's a purchase order that is open. So if we select that and go to view, we see the purchase order we just created. Now we can let the system know that we want to go ahead and receive these items. We'll select all, continue, and now our purchase order becomes a receiving voucher. So we can inventory all the items that we just ordered to see if we received the items that we have placed. If you find that you've received more or less than what you actually ordered, you can again use the little quantity toggles, or you can go in and change the amount manually. So now we inventory our items. Let's say that we did receive everything we ordered, which is nice. And now from the receiving voucher, we can actually go in and print tags. Right, and this is right from the system. And we preview, take a look at what the tags could look like. Again, um, depending on your specific criteria, what you want to see on your tags, that again would be something that would be determined by the vendor. And look, I made a big mistake. I never even put the price in there, so we can go in and fix that. But so we show we have our department code, we have our vendor code here, we have the item name, we have the description, we have the size and color, and of course we have the barcode and the item number. So now we can go ahead and we can save these items. And now if we go back to our item list and put our men's casual shirt, you can see that we now have, of the ones we ordered, we have 5 quantity on hand and 5 available. When you would see a difference in those numbers is if you were doing layaways or sales orders, where you would add that item to a sales order or a layaway. It would reduce the number of available quantity, but until you sold the item, it would show that it was still available or still on hand. I'm going to go in here, and so let's go ahead and edit this item so we can actually see how you do the pricing. So with the item that you would, when we showed in the department of the margin and the markup, so we would do the average cost of this item was $13. It will populate the price based on the margin and markup that we indicated in the department. You can change the price at this point if you want to round it off or leave it, depending on how you want to adjust your margin on there, but you can do that at this point. One of the points I wanted to point out too, that there is a very sophisticated security tiers built into the system as well. So depending on who you want to have access to which part of the system, you can restrict access to price changes, to reports, to purchase orders, to costs, based on. You can do it on an individual basis. So if you only have a couple of employees, you could give each employee their own level of security. If you have multiple employees and you have a group of sales associates, you have a couple of assistant managers, and then of course your store manager, you can assign different tiers to the groups and then assign those employees to those groups. So it's as I said, it's very detailed and very sophisticated, so that it protects you and protects the information in your system. So now that we have our items listed in our inventory, let's go and let's sell an item. So we like to brag about the 7-second sale with QuickBooks Point of Sale, and it would probably only take 7 seconds if I didn't talk so much. But this is your sales receipt here, and you just click on, of course, make a sale. There's all your option buttons over here on the left-hand side as well. One of the groups is what we call our Quick Pick group, and that is these are groups that you can set up depending on your inventory and how you sell. For example, if you do classes, or we work with a lot of museums, and so they sell admissions to their exhibits. But those aren't items that are necessarily going to be brought up to the counter to be scanned. So you can actually create the category and add items to the group. Let's go ahead and take a look at it. So admissions, for example, we've got our 4-day passes and event tickets that are in our admissions here. And it's very simple to set up a quick pick group. You can just actually create it within the sales receipt and add a group, name the group, and then when you open the group, let's go into men's here. Then you can add an item. You can scan the item, or you can enter an item information. So depending on how many items you want to add to this particular QuickBooks group. So one of the advantages of a group like this is if you have items that are too large to bring up to the counter. So for example, one of my clients sells kayaks and canoes, and those are very difficult to pull up, bring up to the counter. So you could have your category and have that item listed in there, so your sales associate would have the information available. Some of my clients, for example, we work with some museum stores up in the Gold Country, and they sell a lot of the little rocks and crystals. So those are difficult to tag. So they would have them set up within the group. So it just gives you a little more versatility and a little more ease at the register for items that might be difficult to bring up to the counter and scan. And you can add this. We can go ahead and hide this as well, and then just add it by just clicking on the quick pick item. So I'm going to get that out of there. So now this is what we see in the sales receipt. So a couple things I'd like to point out here. So we have your customer information, and you have your item information. So the when when the customer brings an item up to the counter, then you can scan the item. If it doesn't have a code, you can search for it by name, or you can do the drop down. So let's look for a men's casual. Okay, we'll do men's. There we go. So we can select a shirt. We can select a customer. And one of the things I'd like to point out too within the system, so now within the sales receipt, when you do select a customer, you have available all of their information. You can see if we hover over here that Joe is a member of our rewards program. You can actually see his available credit of $217.60 that he could apply to his next purchase. We have his email address. He has an in-house account. So you can create an in-house account within the point of sale system as well and give them a credit limit. You can see his last receipt that he purchased and any notes that may be associated with his file. If we need to make a change, if he's changed his email address or changed his phone number, the sales associate can go into his file at the sales receipt and edit the information and change whatever the update information is. A couple of things I'd like to point out here. So one of the things is the customer type. So you can have multiple customers type. I know a lot of the stores now are giving veterans an across the board discount, so you could have your veterans set up here. In the case of a museum or a nonprofit organization, you could have members, you could have VIPs, you can have your employees listed here, and then give the employees a specific discount, and that can be set up in advance as to which category would get which discount, and you can set the discount separately. Different discount could be for every customer type. Tax location, if they're tax exempt, for example, if they're with a church or another nonprofit and you sell to them, they you can indicate that here, and it would follow through that on the sales receipt and not charge them the tax. If you're accepting checks, I don't know if anybody accepts checks anymore, but that's an option within the system. Over here you have, these are again 7 customizable fields within. You wanted to track their birthday, their anniversary, their shoe size, their dress size, their shirt size, or any specific information. You can, again, this would be something you would work with your trainer on to determine which custom fields and how many that you're going to set up. Also within the customer information, you'll see here we have the statistics. What kind of a customer is this? Obviously this is a 5-star customer, so he's got a great rating. Over here on the right-hand side, we can see his rewards history, and up here we can see his purchase history. So everything that he has done with us, we're going to be able to see within his file. we'll go ahead and close that out. So we have Joe here. So I guess Joe's going to be purchasing a couple more items here. We'll go ahead and put our price in there. And you see on the receipt, this was the item that we entered. So you see we have the picture there in the item as well. So now we have a couple of options for payment. I mentioned earlier the integration with Intuit Merchant Services, and that comes into play a couple of different places. So one is obviously in your sale. So if you are integrated with Merchant Services, the nice thing is that you don't have a separate machine, a separate card reader that you have to enter the sales information into. So from when you process the payments in your sales receipt, it's going to integrate with the credit card machine. So all the customer has to do is put in, slip in the card, and if it's a debit card, then indicate, put in the PIN number, or of course if it's credit, then they would just sign for that receipt. They are as I said, with the integration, it does save you time and money, really, because if you get busy and you're processing a lot of sales, to stop and input a sale information into a separate device, and I know I've been there, it's very easy to transpose a number. So then you don't really catch that till the end of the day, and then you have to follow up with the customer, get the information, from them, and hopefully be able to get in contact with them and get the adjustment from taken care of, whether it's an over sale or an under sale. So it does saves you time and money in that regard. The other advantage is that you can integrate gift cards with the system. So there's an integrated gift card option with the merchant services if you're going to be selling gift cards. One of the other advantages is that usually there's a better sale on the software if you have a merchant services account, so you can actually save money when you purchase the system. And then the other advantage is the mobile. The mobile option is connected to the Intuit Merchant Services, so because it is a payment option. So, and we'll take a look, as I said, into how that works in just a little bit. So now we have our total here, $77.93. So Joe decides he wants to split the payment. He wants to pay $25 in cash and the balance with his credit card. So we can do that here, and we'll just select our Visa. So now we have our purchase, we have our total, and we can go ahead and get ready to print this. Now, as I mentioned earlier, that you can email this to the customer. We can go ahead and take a look. Let's go ahead and take a look at what the receipt's going to look like. So that gives you an idea of what you can do with your receipt. We'll take a look at that. So you have your store information here, the workstation information, of course, your logo and the store address here, the body of the receipt, so what the purchase is, what the tender is. Each receipt's going to have a barcode, and of course, you have your message here. You could have, no returns or returns within 30 days or whatever your message is here. So if a customer does need to bring an item back and return it or exchange it, all you have to do is scan this barcode, and it'll pull up this receipt for you. If it's a customer that you have in your system, you can go to their file and pull up the information if for some reason they don't have the receipt. We can close this. So if you're a merchant here in California, I know in our state and many other states, they are encouraging merchants to go paperless. So if you want to bypass and not print the receipt and just email it to them, you can do that as well. So there's our 7-second sale in about 7 minutes. So as you can see, it's a very simple process, however. And one of the other options too I'd like to show, and I'm not sure if we have any nonprofits joining us on the webinar, but we can go ahead and we'll just select a couple of items here. Pick a customer. And if you notice over here on the right-hand side, at the bottom of the list here, I have my roundup donation. So if you're a nonprofit and you want to you can ask the customers if they want to round up their total. So from 100, and 16, and round it up to the next dollar amount. You can do that with this an app that is it's a third-party app. We work with a company called Ability Business, and they have created quite a few different applications that are integrated with the QuickBooks Point of Sale. So this is a great little tool. You can see that's 84 cents. It's a non-taxed item. It'll show up in your inventory as a donation. If you're using QuickBooks Financial, it'll transfer to your chart of accounts as a donation. And so you now see the total down here is rounded up to $101. Credit. So it's a very handy tool. So let's go back to our main page. So now we've set up our department, we've brought in our vendors, we've added our items, we've purchased our items, and we've sold our items. So let's go ahead and take a look at our reports. And one of the features I love best about QuickBooks Point of Sale is the dashboard. So this is a report dashboard. So this will take all of the reports that you're going to want to use on a daily basis. When you open your business, you want to go in and see what your reports and your graphs are. Just the click of a button takes you to the dashboard. This is all customizable. You can add or remove any of the reports or charts that you see in here. And we'll take a look at that in just a few seconds here about how to customize that this report, this dashboard. We'll go to our report center. And as you can see, so these are all of our reports, all the categories of our reports. So we have our sales. We can look at our worst and best sellers. We can look at our most common returns, for example, our details, as a style summary if we want to take a look at that, our discount summary, a date comparison. How do these items sell today as compared to last year, for example, and your mobile sales. And we'll go into a little bit more on the mobile end of it. Of course, we have your graphs down here, so your demographics, your employee comparisons. You have your cash drawer report, so that would be your end of day, all your payments reports, customer reports, so you can pull the demographics on your customers. What their sales by volume, a zip code summary if you're doing promotional emails or special notices. The system does also integrate with Constant Contact, so you could pull your list and go directly into your account and send out flyers about any special purchases or special sales you have coming up. You can direct that that promotional information to your VIP customers, or depending on how you want who you want to contact and what information you want to send to them. That can all be done within the system as well. Any orders that you may have, you can pull up your reports in there. As I mentioned, layaways or sales orders. You can also create work orders within the system. It pulls up your order summary, any back orders that you might have, of course your rewards program, and you can pull up a full members list if you need to export it into another format. It does export into Excel spreadsheet. We have our item reports here. This is probably going to be one of the reports that you use the most. You have your inventory valuation here, of course your inventory turn. So based on your 2 periods, your graphs, any adjustments. So all of this information, there's reports for each one. Each report can actually be, let's go ahead and take a look at our inventory valuation, for example. So each report can be modified. You can add or remove columns. You can change the filtering. Once you make those adjustments in your, I'll go ahead and add a column here. Let's say, for example, we'll add consignor. We can change our filters to include or exclude. Run the report again. So now that we've made a modification to this report, we can actually save it under another name. So we're going to memorize this report, and let's call it June 17. We'll save that. So now that we've made those modifications, now actually from the report window, we can go ahead and add this to our dashboard. right from the report. It's pulling the report, so it populates it over here. We can go ahead and move it to front and center if this is where we want it to be when we take a look at our reports, and we can save that. So now when we go back to our dashboard, this report is going to show up right on top. For any reports that you have modified that you want to review, you can go down here to your memorized reports. So these would be all of your reports that you've made any adjustments to and saved under a specified name. Of course, you have purchasing reports, employee reports, tracking, pulling up time for payroll. You can check their commissions and their sales. Of course, you can see the graph. If you are a business that collects tips, then you can set it up so that it shows the summary of the tips by employee and the payment type. So that's your reports basically in a nutshell. Do we have any questions before I go, move forward here? We want to make sure that everything is covered for you. Great. Well, I mentioned the mobile option a little while ago. So let's take a look at our little mobile here. So in order, right from the system, you can sync your mobile if you have that set up. But let's take a look at a little demo here, and you won't be able to hear the sound. But we'll take a look here. This is my friend Paul from Intuit, and he talks about videoing his cat, but he gets down to the business here of the actual app. And so this is basically what your app is going to look like. You can download it from your Google or App Store onto any device, whether it's an Apple or a Android. You'd log on to the information. And remember where we selected the mobile within the item list. Then you would indicate that. And then from the device, you'd go to the settings and go to your items. And then it would literally sync back to your point of sale system, to your item list. So anything that was indicated mobile is going to move over to the app, and you have all that information. So now you're ready to sell. It does come with a Bluetooth reader, so that one's a little dated. You can also do the Smart Pay and Apple Pay with the Go Payment app. The customer signs right on the device, and then you email the receipt to the customer. Very simple process. And then you sync back to your point of sale, so it's going to adjust your items and your sales. Thank you, Paul. So it's a great little device. You can actually have up to 10 devices running at any one time. So if you're doing a fundraiser or a trade show and you have multiple associates that are making sales off-site, you can have them all with their own device making those sales and syncing back to your main inventory list. And again, we'll go ahead and take a look over here. So anything that you have checked here is going to be synced over to your mobile. You can go into each one of the items and edit it and check it or uncheck it, or right from the item list, you can check it or uncheck it from there as well. So it's a very simple process. It's a very great option to the point of sale. So with the point of sale, so that's the basically that is the operational aspect of the point of sale in a nutshell. This system, when you purchase the system, it does come with the peripheral hardware. You've got your receipt scanner or receipt printer, your scanner, your cash drawer, and your barcode tag printer. So that is part of the system. When you purchase from Big Hairy Dog, you also get a 1-year training and support contract to make sure that you get up and running and stay up and running. We're here to support you through all of it. We focus on getting you the best return on your investment for your point of sale. We know that when it comes to being a retailer, that your most valuable asset is going to be your inventory. So this gives you the opportunity to keep your finger, keep everything up to date and give you all the results that you need, and cross-checking and to see what's selling, what's not selling, what to order, what not to order, and manage that inventory so that, like I said, you get the best return on your investment. It's actually been a very good pleasure having you join me today with this seminar, and we definitely would love to touch bases with you and get a little more information as far as what you're looking for and how Big Hairy Dog can assist. So I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and we look forward to speaking with you in the future.